Okay, recording. Hello, Reena.
So the first question is, how did you two meet and start working together?
Yeah, we met at Kairos.
Yeah, I was already doing some work with Kairos, Women on Top, and I think, yeah, we were introduced by Lucia, said that you guys need to meet, and we just clicked, didn't we? It's just like synergy.
Yeah, we did, totally, straight
Both
away.
excited about the same sort of work and empowering communities and creating great art. So
Yeah, and just to explain to people who don't know what Kairos is, it's a small charity in Hillfields that works with women who are either at risk of or involved in street sex working or risk of exploitation. And yeah, the first project that we did together was Girls on Top, I think, wasn't it?
yeah, Girls on Top, absolutely, yeah. And that was a real success. And I think, yeah, that gave us a flavour of what we can do. And yeah, we've been working with each other ever since. Next question is, what is this project about? Its choice of title and what languages have been used in it? So the project's called Tongue Tied, and it's really a celebration of multiple languages and stories between diverse groups of women. And I think it's a celebration of differences, but it also builds bridges between similarities between stories and narratives and things that women wouldn't normally share, and it created space for women to share their story, really.
Yeah, I agree. I think that like you and I both have this understanding that creative work allows people to access like a part of them that really encourages kind of owning their own stories and sort of connects them like with themselves but also with each other. Like I really felt that that was like the big thing that came out of the work that we did at Kairos, and I suppose this kind of builds on that really.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I think having the language aspect to it like added another dimension.
We had German,
uh,
Polish, Yoruba,
Urdu,
Urdu, yep. What else do we have?
Patois,
Yeah, Patois, yep.
and Chinese.
Oh yes, yeah. Yeah, so we had loads of languages.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought it was really like it was really playful more than anything else.
Yeah, it wasn't a scary experience for the women to kind of share their language and speak in their mother tongue. Because sometimes you can have that embarrassment where you don't want to kind of speak your language and like anglicize it, but no, they were just so comfortable sharing their language, and everybody kind of got each other and understood each other's story, which is quite spooky, wasn't it? Where
Oh my goodness,
yeah,
yes. Yes.
when Chubby just kind of understood Chinese and she never doesn't know a word of Chinese because yeah, you're talking about your mom, yeah, you're talking about this, yeah, this is that, and she knew everything, and it's just connected the
Yeah.
women on another level.
Yeah, that was amazing actually, wasn't it?
Mm.
That little moment between the two of them. They obviously really understood what was happening.
Yeah.
Next question.
Why are languages important to you in your work and in this project, especially in terms of storytelling? Every culture has its own version of Romeo and Juliet. They have their own arc story, and it just created a space for people to share that, say, oh yeah, that's the same as ours, and oh, that's a little bit different, or we do it this way. It's just a way to share each other's interpretations of their stories and look at that similar story from a different perspective. Like we touched on the Bible, didn't we, a little bit, and stories in the Bible and what that meant to like Mary, for example, and it had just a whole different meaning for her than it did to somebody else who shared that same story.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something that I really love as well about like everyday phrases and words that are really descriptive, and you don't understand what they mean until someone explains the translation and
Oh,
why and where it comes from in
yeah.
their in their culture.
Yeah, and sounds like we did the sucking of the teeth. That could be really offensive in one culture, but actually in my culture, it means pity. It means, oh, you poor thing, and we wouldn't know that if we didn't have those conversations and have that. We did that activity where we all kind of made a noise when. How would you feel when you're angry? What noise do you make? And it wasn't just about the spoken language; it was about the noise and those, little gestures that you would do.
Like, it just felt really, it felt very aligned to do the project at Vosel Community Centre as well, because, and just even Coventry is just so richly diverse in its languages and its cultures, but particularly in that area of the city as well. And a lot of what is meant to emanate out of that centre is about community cohesion and bringing people together. And language can be a huge barrier for people. And I think we picked that up a little bit from the shame stories that we did previously, didn't we?
Yes.
That there can be an embarrassment or a fear of humiliation about you bringing your culture into like a setting, like a new setting. And I don't think that really leaves you. I think you just deal with it better as an adult.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that felt quite important.
Definitely. Yeah. Your work has a strong gender dimension, particularly around women's stories. Can you tell us more about this and why? We didn't intentionally have like a gender dimension. We just happen to be working with women on this particular project, but we do want to include men's voices. I think they shouldn't be excluded. But this particular project, we worked with women.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably relevant to say that when we were first planning this project, we were planning on working with some women who could have had vulnerabilities.
Yeah, that's right.
So we did, in our sort of search for participants, we were looking for referrals, weren't we, from women's agencies? And I think that because you and I are quite experienced in working with women-only groups, I think I've seen the impact and the importance of having like a safe space for women to be able to share, because if you've got like multiple and complex difficulties in your day-to-day life or in your recent past history, like domestic violence or drugs and alcohol or anything like that, that comes up because it's relevant to your day-to-day experience. And so feeling like very safe in that space, I felt was really like an important start. And it's not, like you say, it's not about it being like exclusively about women. Like, I think there's real value in men having their own space as well.
No, absolutely. I think men don't always have the opportunity to share their story, or don't have that space to share their experience. Women do. Women are a little bit more open to talking and sharing stories and gossiping and connecting with other women, and whereas men don't have that.
I think there is some of that coming up, but it doesn't it's not really in my sort of field of vision very much. I know there's a couple of good things going on, but and also I think the other reason why we work with women is because we are women, and I feel like it's for it would be for men to lead a men's group in the same way, to offer that same kind of support and like nurturing space. So I think our skills lend itself to women only work.
You have worked with animation to bring your project to life. Why is that?
Well, again, when we were planning it, we didn't know what stories or anecdotes might come up for people and how they might be related. So we worked with the theme of home, didn't we? And and that can be very sensitive for people, even if it's not traumatic. It's just very personal. And I think in order to get people to truly share, that was kind of a layer of anonymity that could be provided.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
as it happened, that wasn't really an issue within our
No.
group. I
No.
think it is a nice, like, it's a nice way of being able to translate the stories as well, by kind of
Yeah.
giving an artist.
Absolutely, and it's something to keep and hold and to share continuously. I think we spoke about doing a live performance. We thought maybe that would be a little bit too risky to get women who don't know each other sharing the languages and then doing a live performance. So we thought we'll play it safe and use art and animation and illustration, and for the women to have an input in that story. So we initially envisaged them kind of creating the animation and cutting out shapes and telling that story, but that didn't happen because of the lack of time that we had on the day. But yeah, it's created a piece that we can keep forever and share.
Mm.
What about the role of Coventry as a city and its diversity in terms of creating multilingualism, different languages for your work?
Well, I mean, Coventry's been built on immigration.
Yeah.
You know, I think, you know, I learnt that from the you know, people at work project that happened, sorry, humans at work project that happened down Faisal Road. That was quite new information to me, but it was really enjoyable to listen to about how you know, people had been, the big engineering firms advertised for people from India and Pakistan to come over and live over
Yeah.
here in order to work in the factories and like support the workforce. And obviously now we've got such another sort of wave of different workers from Europe and like Eastern Europe in Coventry. And it's just, I just think it's always been really, like, it's added a richness to
Yeah.
Coventry.
Definitely.
Right from like through from our, you know, cuisine all the way through to, you know,
Yeah.
the music that comes from Coventry, even, like, you know,
Yeah.
the two-tone, and
Yeah.
it's always a blend of like
Yeah.
cultures, and it just makes for some really
Absolutely.
joyous things to come out of it.
We're the city of culture for a reason, because we're so diverse and there's so much happening in the city. And I think those opportunities are coming about now. We're learning more and more about the city, things that we didn't know, or
Mm.
communities that didn't exist. So I think it just creates such a great opportunity to celebrate that.
Yeah, I agree, and I love that those stories can be told and have like this extra element of
Yeah.
language in them that like gives you, you know, another layer of insight
Yeah.
into, you know, where that comes from.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
Okay, so what would you say are the 2 or 3 things that you've learned or developed on this project in terms of how did the project impact the development of your work? So
Hmm.
I think I've learned that language isn't that much of a barrier. It
Mm.
would have to be a barrier. That we had all these languages and we were all speaking in different languages and doing all sorts of like foreign things in that workshop. It didn't feel indifferent. We were so connected in terms of not just how the story, what the story is, but how the story's told, and the tone, and how you dramatize that, and how that's quite universal, and a language that everybody understands. And like, you know, the language of food, everybody understands, you know, that rising of the bread and the smell and
Mm.
family and all those things that are associated with that. So I think
Yeah.
that's, I've learned that layer language doesn't have to be a barrier.
Yeah, I agree. I think like I think honestly, I think I had seen it as a barrier previously. Like, I've worked with women who don't speak any English, and
Yeah.
it's always been like a hurdle to get over.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like that. It just felt like a space for sharing, you know.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
a much nicer way to approach like language difference.
Yeah.
Not that one person has to comply with your way of doing things, but that you
No.
kind of meet in the middle somewhere. And
Yeah.
yeah.
I think, yeah, just about learnt that it's okay to take a risk and see
Mm.
where things go, and also just trust your art, trust what you're doing, because um, so much good came out of that project. And I, I was kind of trying to play it a little bit safe, so I didn't kind of put people on the spot, but actually they wanted that, because we created such a brilliant atmosphere that they were ready to perform and get on a stage. So yeah, never sort of underestimate your participants when you're good at what you do, that you can create that. And we
Yeah,
did create such a great relationship with the women, and yeah, it was such a great day. It was so positive, wasn't it?
yeah, it was amazing. Yeah,
Mhm.
really enjoyable.
What else have you learnt from this project?
What else have I learnt? I think one of the things that I really learned was not to be too precious about planning
Yeah.
the day. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
And me, I just kind of go with the flow, like, yeah, we'll be fine, we'll just do anything. And yeah, maybe I need to have a bit more of a plan and structure. Maybe I think I should think, yeah, hang on, maybe I could have a little bit of a structure, because I don't like structure too much.
But I think that we complement each other quite
Yeah,
well
I
on that
do.
basis.
Yeah,
Because
I
like with
do.
my producer head on, obviously, I'm kind of thinking, oh,
Yeah,
how are we going to draw this element out so that we get the end result? We've got a really
yeah,
short time frame to work with, but
yeah,
actually, like if you're too like on top with your,
yeah,
you know, with your agenda,
yeah,
you can't allow for people to make their own connections in the space and to like respond to the facilitation fully.
yeah,
So actually, you know, I really enjoyed, well, I'm really glad that I was part of the day, like, and present, because I didn't like it. It makes me a bit nervous. I want to get involved, but it sort of makes me feel a little bit
yeah,
apprehensive about getting
yeah,
involved in the group. But actually, I really liked it, and I also thought that was really important, that we felt like
yeah.
there was a level within the group. It wasn't like, oh, hello, you're here to attend our workshop. It wasn't that at all.
No, there's no hierarchy, was there? It was just,
No,
yeah,
yeah, we just had a really nice like circle of people who were
yeah,
all kind of exploring this topic and all kind of getting kind of creative and like a bit silly
yeah,
and telling stories together. It was awesome.
yeah, and laughing, and yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
I've missed out. What was it like collaborating with Virginia Dudra on languages? He just wants some praise, doesn't he?
I'm happy to do that. Like
Yeah,
I met Regina probably a year before the project actually took off, and we met actually on a City of Culture film screening night, and we just got talking, and it was a bit similar to me and you. You know, we just started chatting, and then we found this common ground, and we had this amazing discussion about working with women, because I was still at Kairos at that point, and he said, oh, I want to pick this up with you, like I think that sounds really interesting. And that happens a lot with people, and it often doesn't come off because people are busy and they've naturally got their own things to
yeah,
work through. But honestly, like I feel like Reginda has been so supportive, because as somebody who was quite new really to like commissioning creative projects, even though I'm very creative like in my heart, I was quite new to commissioning and producing like creative
yeah,
projects. And I just feel that he was so encouraging and
yeah,
supportive, and he really helped to shape it, not
yeah.
only like the content but also to actually bring it to fruition.
Yeah, I second that completely. And I think, yeah, he was so supportive and enthusiastic, but didn't kind of override our creativity. So he gave us that autonomy to kind of make decisions, and he trusted us with our work. And I think that's what I really, really would say was really positive about Reginda's approach to work, that he didn't want to kind of override or overtake, or he didn't even come to the workshop. He just kind of trusted us with what we were doing, and
Yeah.
just to get on with it.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? I think it's a fine balance between like encouraging people and making sure that you're not kind of micromanaging, and he's just not like that at all. He's just very like you say, just let us get on with it.
Yeah. How has the COVID-19 situation impacted on your sharing of this work in any way?
Well, yes, massively.
Mm.
We planned to screen it, didn't we? We had a screening booked in for, well, it should have happened already. It should have happened in end of April. But obviously, with social distancing, we couldn't hold the showing in the community centre, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah.
We've not even been able to do like the preview with the participants and get all the participants back together either, which I think is really a shame, because we bonded really well on that day.
Yeah, absolutely. And they all made friends, didn't they? Everybody was friends with that.
Yeah, it's a real shame to like lose that. Feel like that thread's a little bit lost at the moment. I mean, I do want to get it out there, and it might be that online is the only way that we can do that at the moment. But I think the important thing for me is that like we need to continue the conversation around it.
Yeah.
And that can be lost easily online if you don't kind of manage it properly.
Yeah, that is true.
So I feel like there's probably a bit of investment in sort of time and thought about how we do that.
Yeah.
How we kind of like hold a new space to then talk about what the film, and like open up like the feedback channels with the participants and people who are viewing it as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's only short, and it's very like, I feel like it'd be very accessible on a phone or a tablet. But it's nice to exhibit, isn't it? Like I like to exhibit rather than just
and for the women to celebrate it and see it all together and see each other's reactions, and just to have a little Q&A and talk about the process of what they've done and how that came about, or even share a bit more about their story. How do you hope to develop this languages project, perhaps in partnership with Coventry City of Culture in the future?
Well, I think there's massive scope for expanding this in slightly different ways. So I think that that kind of dynamic theatre practice using languages, I think there's a lot to be learnt and gained from that in different scenarios. So I think it'd be amazing to be able to kind of either share that practice with other people, or to try and sort of develop maybe a toolkit for how that can be facilitated. And it's like, the output doesn't always have to be an animation or a film. Like the output could just be that everyone has an amazing day and they come away with a bit of a richer understanding of like their neighbour or their fellow Coventrian, and that barriers are broken down and there's a bit more social cohesion. Because I think apart from the sharing of languages and like the creative output, there's a really strong well-being element here for me as well. Like there's so many, we had one person, I think, who seemed like maybe they were quite isolated in their life, and I think it's really important to be able to connect with others, and to find that space where you feel like that you're valued on a level that is not about your job, it's not about what you look like, it's not about how much money you've got. It's just you're just being a human and just like engaging in nice kind of storytelling and
silly games and laughing and just sharing your story, just being heard. There's
a lot to be said for bringing joy, I think, to people.
Absolutely, definitely. I'd like to see this developed in terms of performances for the public, so they're kind of engaged in in that storytelling and learning and conversation too.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that's something we can definitely develop. I think with the women that we worked with, they were definitely ready to perform and to be on stage to the public. So I think, yeah, and the project created that level of confidence that they had in sharing what they needed to share in their story.
Yeah, yeah. I remember you immediately afterwards, you and I had a conversation about doing sort of almost like guerrilla performances in restaurants or in different establishments, kind of
Yeah,
down the maybe shops, down the
yeah,
Fossil Road, and
yeah,
how interesting it would be to
yes,
do that, like maybe in cohorts with the shopkeeper, but not telling the customers. And just
yeah,
observing the reaction of like just a
yeah,
little mini performance of
like
something.
Confederates, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think that
yeah,
would be fantastic.
definitely, yeah.
Mm.
Oh, what a great project.
It was a
Tom.
great project.
Yeah, it's a lot of planning that went into that, but it was definitely worth it. It was a blast on the day. And we weren't expecting it to go that well and everyone to be so positive and jumping for joy and just sharing how great that they felt. And it was such a strong sense of well-being and euphoria in that group. It was like, wow, we created this.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And I think it's really important to note that, like, you work full time, I've got another job as well. And it's always the same with creative projects. It's like you throw a lot of energy in like a short burst
Yeah,
into it, but there's always that moment of fear of like, are people going to turn up? Like, is it going to go well? Are they going to get on with each other? Are we going to have are we going to
yeah,
have a problem?
yeah.
But we didn't. And yeah, I think it was, yeah, testament to sort of like to the planning and the support and like the real like the backing that we had.
Yeah, and the support from Maginda, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Good.
Okay. Okay, cool.